Hi, Roy here. It's very quiet. Hi, Roy here on my channel, Roy Reads Anything. And a bit of a November TBR. Now, I wasn't really going to do events in November, but when this came along, I thought, yeah, I've got to get on that. So this is going to be it's novelisation and tie-in Tember, created by Andrew. It came from the page, so it's a month looking at novelisations and tie-in books, works that sort of derive from some other medium, which is something I really like. Done quite a lot on here. Off the top of my head, everything from the Monkeys to I can't think of any others now. Quadrophenia. I did Quadrophenia movies, probably the most recent one. Where I read the novelisation of that. So yeah, really keen to do this, partly because as well as the usual prompts, there are also some questions or sort of things to respond to, which gives it a little bit of structure. You know, it's like having the climbing frame apparatus in the playground. It just gives you something to latch onto. So although there are no rules, and the prompts are just a thing for people who like prompts. So I've got a bit of a TBR together provisionally. Read a novelisation for a favourite movie. So I'm thinking of reading The Reptile. So this was a Hammer horror movie, and it's part of this omnibus of novelisations of those films. The back cover features a scene from The Reptile. Love the film. I think it's one of the best of the Hammers. A guy called John Burke. I've read one of his novelisations before. He novelised a sort of swinging 60s Carnaby Street type movie called Smashing Time. And but here's a set. I don't know if these actually came out separately, but The Reptile, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, Rasputin, the Mad Monk.
Rah, rah, Rasputin.
And The Plague of Zombies, another great one. So yeah, The Reptile, that's a plan. Let's see. Also, or another Hammer film, Moon 02. So this one I like more for being completely bonkers. It's a science fiction film done with a very low budget. Space belongs to the rich. Giant corporations control the colonies on the Moon and Mars. Travel is limited to a few safe milk runs. Exploration is ended, perhaps forever. One maverick pilot, Bill Kemp, still dreams of reaching the outer planets beyond the asteroid belt. Even though his leaky space ferry is condemned, corporations are trying to have him grounded. Kemp has a plan, a bold plan that will change the very shape of the solar system and catapult him to Jupiter and beyond. I don't remember any of that, but it'd be great to see how this has been novelised by John Burke, who was a bit of a go-to novelisation guy for British movies. I think he started with A Hard Day's Night and never stopped. His own stuff's pretty good as well.
Novelise A Hard Day's Night when it had no appreciable story?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll read that as well.
It was a very confusing film when you were a young person.
Yeah, well, maybe they thought, well, if he can make something out of that, he's our guy.
Make something out of anything.
Yeah, now the next one's more difficult for me. Read a book based on a video game. Not that there aren't loads of great looking books based on video games, but looking at these response prompts, how well did this book capture the video game? Does the story mesh well with the gameplay? Do you have a deeper understanding of the game world? Difficult when you don't play video games. Casting my mind back, I've played arcade games, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, though none of the Pong, and none of those seem to have generated actual proper novelisations. We did once for about 2 hours at a friend's house play Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh gosh, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, half a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
So...
And I couldn't stop singing the music.
Yeah, well, I'll try not to bring that back.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, that has tie-in stuff, so maybe that'll work. Prompt 3. Read a novelisation for a piece of media you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Or think can be improved. So, I truly don't like, I have a rooted objection to, for some reason, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It just grates on me for some reason. I think as a child, I was quite a sombre little chap, and I disliked stupid words, like nonsense words, in things like songs and what have you. And Dick Van Dyke, who's in this, was like one of the chief culprits, really, with his various nonsensical utterances in Mary Poppins. So there's that, there's the... I don't like the aesthetics of the car, the wings, like umbrellas that sort of seem nasty. So yeah, I really dislike that. So what's the novelisation going to be like? Lots of people are involved, so it's one of those ones where the movie was based on a book, and now there's another book that's based on the movie. So there's an army of people involved. It's the story of the film based on the screenplay by Roald Dahl and Ken Hughes from Ian Fleming's original stories, written by John Burke. So we'll see about that. Another thing I don't like, and I don't not like Doctor Who as a whole. I mean, there's, decades and decades of stuff, and I grew up with Doctor Who, and we watched the new ones up until shortly after David Tennant. It's kind of doesn't feel like it's for us anymore. But one bit of Doctor Who that I do remember being specifically watching and being specifically disappointed by was the 90s TV movie with who's that fella? The Paul McGann. Yeah. Who is the 8th Doctor? And that has a novelisation in print at the moment. Now I do know that the 8th Doctor has gone on to have a life in Big Finish audios and probably in other books and things, and that's all good, but like I say, the 90s one-off TV movie just seemed like an absolute misfire, so we'll see if the book makes it any better, and then I'll be saying, did I appreciate it more afterwards? Number 4, novelisation or a tie-in for property you've never seen or experienced before. Well, yeah, I got a book by John Burke. Did the novelisation for a movie from the 60s called Privilege. I'd never heard of, never seen it. It's got Paul Jones in it. Gene Shrimpton's in it. Yeah, no, nothing of it. I'm already quite liking it from the cover, so we'll see how that turns out.
Was Paul Jones in Manfred Mann?
I think so. He was a pop singer, wasn't he? Yeah.
Singer. I remember him being quite pretty.
One of those, yeah.
Quite pretty.
Yeah. I've also never seen, and I'm completely baffled by, the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie that has not got the Beatles in it.
What?
And it's got the Bee Gees in it. It's like we'll start the alphabet. Beatles aren't available. Who's next? Yeah, I know not of this. Why? How? What's going on? Might get to that as well. Oh, going back to movies.
You can't read this. It's not by John Burke.
I know. No, I'm going to cross it out and write John Burke on it. I popped into a charity shop and said, I'll see if they got any novelisations. And they actually had one where the spine actually says movie novelisation. And now, BookTube, it works. The rules are the same as chess. If you touch a piece, you move it. So having pulled the book down, I've now got to read it. That movie is The Smurfs 2. So we will see how that turns out. Back onto more comfortable territory. Read a book based on a television show. Well, what might that be? I've
got one of Nadia's cookbooks.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was thinking...
And Hairy Bikers.
Yeah, but I'm not going to read it from cover to cover.
Aren't you?
No.
Good Lord,
no,
man.
Never.
Why ever not?
I was thinking of Veronica Mars.
Oh, yeah.
I was pleased to see there's a couple of Veronica Mars books, but I've misplaced it, so I don't know where that is. If that turns up, could read Veronica Mars. I've also got a Waltons book.
Oh, bizarre.
Yeah, so the
Bizarre.
Waltons sort of famously wholesome Depression-era family show that was on in the 1970s.
Which was a lot more political than
you'd
realised
expect.
at the time.
Yeah. Well, this is the second book by Robert Waverka called Trouble on the Mountain. It's a brand new adventure with John Boy and the whole Walton clan, i.e. tie-in, not novelisation. School was out for the summer. Oh, the doorbell's ringing.
It's the shed.
It might be the shed. Not the shed. John Boy, starting a career as a magazine writer, had everybody on the mountain rooting for him. He and Grandpa got caught up in an innocent little secret that got way out of hand. One lie led to another. And a crisis developed that nearly destroyed the happiest family on Walton's Mountain. So it's high stakes. So that's a possibility as well. Talking of cookery books, though, I did think if there are no rules of adding an extra prompt, trying to make a dish out of a tie-in cookery book. So I've got Crossroads, which was a soap opera, British soap opera, very 70s. But I've never I've thought of this very frequently and never managed to do it, because these things, they either look disgusting,
yes,
or slightly difficult.
Yes.
It's open to kidneys in wine sauce.
No.
Yeah. Or Mrs. Bridges from Upstairs Downstairs. But this will suffer from the usual kind of Victorian difficulties. Yeah, pigeon pudding. Pigeon pie with a suet crust. Rook pie. I mean, half of these sound illegal.
I've had pigeon. I didn't like it. It's very greasy.
Well, the Avengers might come to our rescue.
That might be better.
Yeah, we'll see if I can find a recipe in there. Anyway, the final actual prompt is read a book based on a tabletop game. We do play tabletop games, but we tend to play two-player Euro games that don't seem to have been have tie-in books. Didn't really like Katan, so I'm not going to read a 600-page historical novel based on
I started to read the novelisation of Katan.
Really?
It was... it was really very tedious, I thought.
I've heard it gets quite extreme.
Well, I didn't get as far as that extremity. I think I gave up about 50 pages in.
Oh, well, there you go.
Quite rare for me. I'm not a great DNFer.
Not reading it doubly. Well, we have played Arkham Horror.
We have.
Which is a tabletop game based on H.P. Lovecraft stories, and has a vast number of tie-in books. I've got the Song of Carcosa. Sounds like it might have something to do with the King in Yellow as well, which is interesting. Sort of different stuff feeding into the tie-in. So yes, an Arkham Horror tie-in by Josh Reynolds. So that is so far the TBR for tie-in and novelisation of Tember. that Avengers book.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is,
Yeah.
the Marvel Avengers, not Steed and
Right.
Emma Peel.
Right. Okay.
That would be
I'm glad
awesome.
to get that sorted.
But we'd probably be in the kidney pie area. The idea is, you know, they have that Avengers campus they end up living on.
Yeah.
The idea is it's in that with like some
okay.
kid characters,
Oh, God.
and it's all to do. A lot of it seems to be making things extraordinarily huge. You know, like one giant Dorito
Right. No.
because of pin
Have
particles.
this. Doreen's Nutty Brownies. Who's Doreen?
I do like Doreen's Nutty Brownies.
Everybody likes Doreen's Nutty
Yeah.
Brownies, mate. She's famous for them.
I'm going to call a halt. So goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.